500 subscribers. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Especially for the ones who joined recently. Welcome to the Turkish-Japanese family channel. It's been a long ride, we can say. It has been six months since we started. We did 30 videos together with Tomo and Kai. And we're very happy that you're in our family now. Kai is sleeping, he's taking a nap, our laundry is done, and our meal is cooking for lunch, and we are here to talk to you about
Cultural differences and then similarities between Japanese and Turkish.
one of the most questions we're getting is, what are the cultural similarities and differences between Turkey and Japan? It's hard to categorize, and we decided to start with family culture. The first thing we compare is the family ties between Japan and Turkey. In Turkey, families are quite strongly tight. You can spend the day in your aunts or grandparents, or you get together in important days. The ties are so strong that you call every day, or you have to ask how are you, want to add another, these things are expected. It's almost like you can think of like an Italian family bonds, you always eat, drink together, and which I don't have it here, of course. I feel that missing a little bit in our life. And how is it in Japan?
Japan is nowadays becoming more and more individual. So, when my parents' generation, they live a lot closer to each other, and it was more probably like Turkey.
I don't feel this tightness in Japan if I compare to Turkey. Would you say like Japanese people like Italian families that we see in the movies?
Yeah, occasionally. I mean, it's not for everyone. I think it also depends on region to region.
Okay.
Some areas are more like a Latin, if you like. I think it depends on region to region. The culture is quite different.
But somehow I don't imagine this big family gatherings in Japan. Or even if it happens, that's not so often.
As I said, from my generation on, I think it's less and less so happening. We also, of course, live away from families now. Back then, people live close to each other. So, of course, relatives and family come together more often.
But what you're saying is also happening in Turkey. Kids now live far away from families because the modern life, requires you to live in the big city and work. So, but even though they cannot get together that often, there's always like phone calls, every day to that extent.
Yeah, I think it's tighter in Turkey. It's a Latin style, right? More so.
Mediterranean. Another point that we always see clearly as a difference is no touch culture.
Yeah, it's very, very clear and distinct. This is probably one of the most different style and cultures.
And family cultures.
Yeah.
So when Japanese families raise kids, they don't really kiss, maybe after a certain age. They don't hug or kiss the kids. In Turkey, this is to the other extreme. You hug, you kiss, you attack your kid. We squeeze as much as we can.
Kai's grandma keep telling him she's gonna eat him.
Yep.
That's the extent of the feeling.
You
right?
want to put the kid inside you, That's so much touch, feel culture, and that's not existent in Japan. Do you know the reasons why it's this way?
I don't know. I just grew up in it, so that's how it is for me. And I don't feel any less loved or any less, connected. I think there is connection in a different way, from the way we talk, the way they interact with you. For me, COVID time, this distancing is everything. It's like really going back to Japanese style. So for me, I'm quite familiar, so I don't have much problem.
But we have an agreement with Tomo before Kai was born that we will be this touchy-feely family. I wanted this from Tomo a lot, and he was very open to it, and you didn't have any problem actually to switch this kind of culture.
No, I mean, I think I've seen enough out, and I've seen Turkish culture as well, I guess, beforehand. So I had some.
You've been kissed enough.
I had some insight into how to interact, but. It felt natural for me to go for it. So I think deep down we all have this feeling, even Japanese. I think if we were brought up that way, we would do it. It's natural instinct, I think. It's just that we haven't been brought up that way, so we don't know, we don't do it. And especially in public, of course. I mean, we're very conscious people, I think, in Japan.
You know, we have been watching some documentaries recently. I think this topic is much deeper than just to touch as the family culture. Maybe we will come back to this. I feel like there's a trauma in Japan that people cannot say openly that they love each other, especially within the family. They didn't hear their parents to tell them they love them, or they haven't been kissed. I feel like this is going to change maybe for Japan in the future. Maybe very slowly, but...
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's a public eyes that people are conscious about, and that obviously prevent them to shift in to that kind of change. Yeah. It's a hard one to yeah.
Yeah. Another topic we have is the woman's place in the family. I think this is a tough topic in many cultures. From what I've seen in Turkish culture is that woman has a quite strong space in terms of decision making in the family. But there is the social aspect that what's expected from woman to be done at home. And this is not only in Turkey, I would say. And in Japan?
Yeah, I think Japan is fairly similar in a way. Okay, in a family, the husband and wife is typically, let's say, one step behind the husband.
No, I learned this from your mom. Thomas' mom was teaching me Japanese, especially when I was pregnant, that I had some time to study with her every week over Skype. And one thing she taught me, what does it mean husband and wife in Japanese? Can you tell us?
Wife referred to the husband as shujin. Shujin is the master, basically, of the house. But the husband referred to the wife as kanai. Kanai is inside the house in a direct translation. So effectively places the relative positions of each other.
When I learned this, I was shocked. How can you call master and the person in the house?
But that's the reference for each other, how the
like
couple
you say,
see each other.
You tell me you're in the house and I tell you my master.
I think it's more of a position of where each other is. So the house is represented to the outside as by the husband, shujin. And house is basically managed by the wife, the kanai. So,
but these words are not used that often anymore in Japanese language. There are new words, right? The last two generations are using other words.
I don't know.
That's what your mom told me. You don't know the words husband and wife in Japanese now?
Yeah, I don't know.
There are new words.
In a relative sense, you know.
If you know, please write it in the comments.
I mean, it's like a subconscious thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, you don't think that way when you're saying those words,
yeah.
I guess. But that's what it means.
Just is
that's how they're built.
Cultural,
right?
Yeah.
It's the deep culture.
It doesn't mean that the wife has less power, you know. In the house, typically, wife really governs the family, and then the husband is kind of on the side.
I mean, in the end, the main breadwinner is the man, and the wife is expected to be
exactly.
at home.
So that's why
same in Turkey.
That's why this positioning is made.
Although it's changing, I guess.
Yeah, for for sure.
It's changing and it's getting difficult for women. They are still expected to have kid and look after the kid, but also work and have a career.
But funnily enough, you know, if you look at the Swiss situation and the actual whole...
You're bringing the Swiss.
Yeah, I'm bringing Switzerland because this is where we are.
Yes.
If you look at the school system, the kids don't have lunch at school, right? You see around 12 o'clock, all the kids from school walking back home
to have lunch.
And someone has to be home to feed them, and then they go back to school. So, of course, this relies on the fact that
there's someone at home.
Most likely a wife or mom stays home and feed them, and then they go back to school. So it's still relying on fairly traditional system of wife is staying home.
Yeah, this actually might be worse in Switzerland than in Turkey and Japan, because Turkey and Japan has systems in place to support working parents, and they are usually grandparents. But
the schools definitely feed their kids. I mean, school have kids learn to prepare the lunch. When I was in elementary school, we have groups in the classroom, and each one have to take over the lunch duty, and then we learn this kind of system. We learn this community behavior.
But you also told me you learned how to sew.
Yeah, in elementary school we have this domestic classes where we cook, we sew clothes
this
with the machine. This thing.
I don't do like that.
We made like
I do like this. This is.
That's also yes. So we make this handkerchief, or we make also the apron ourselves with the machine. So of course
this is one step ahead in Japan, I think, to prepare kids for a family in an equal way, which is not existent as far as I know in Turkey.
Yeah. And in junior high school, on the other hand, girls also join. The girls also do the woodwork. We made a lamp in junior high school. But anyway, that's kind of went off course.
Drifted away.
So one of the questions we hear a lot is about how our parents communicate each other, which is an obvious question because they speak completely different languages and there's no real common language between them.
No.
Apart from the language of love. I don't know.
So I talk to Thomas' parents in English. They have very good level of English, thank God. And my parents' level of English is very basic, although they understand certain words like tea or eat, drink, So there is enough of basic communication between each other. But like I said, it's more communication of love. They're very happy, and they obviously cannot get together so often. But when they talk to each other, there's a lot of gestures and there's a lot of goodwill. They end up understanding each other with our help, mostly with my sister's help, because she also speaks Japanese.
Yeah.
So with the help of our family who can speak English and Japanese, we get by.
Yeah, they somehow manage. They spend the time on their own as well, and then they claim that they understand each other completely. So as long as they're happy with that, then we're okay. So
they're looking forward to meeting each other, to be honest, right? Yeah. They've been together in Turkey, they've been together in Japan, in Switzerland. My mom and your parents were together at some point. So we are hoping that we can plan the next family reunion after the COVID leaves. In a nutshell, there are certain differences and certain similarities, and we find our way by living together. We had enough time to get to know each other anyway before we made the step to become a family. But we have our own rules. We have our own family traditions now. We take what we like from both of the families and we make our own family culture. As you can see, there's so much to talk about when it comes to differences and similarities of family cultures between Japan and Turkey. We will share with you more. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments, and see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't so far. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.